Hey Spuzz, it's Jamie, welcome back to another video. First video channel, I don't know, but welcome either way. I have had a haircut and I hope you're doing really well. Welcome in. I think I've already said that. But today we are looking at the wonderful, the wholesome trans TikToks. Actually, they're not always super wholesome because sometimes they still tackle big things and things that are not always the most positive, but these are the trans positive TikToks, even if they're not always the happiest topic, if that makes sense. They're not transphobic, which is good. Blowhigh is here again to be the trans mascot and protector. I'm pretty sure he's in the background of every single video I make now. Just as Blowhigh the shark is here to protect the trans, not grammatically correct, and turn the transphobes into little snacks. Metaphorically, of course.
I don't wish ill of her, I just wish her to shut up.
But what if there was another shark out there? Not that one. I said, what if there was another shark out there?
We're gonna seal off this.
Not that one. God damn it. Can I just... What if there was another shark out there? One that could protect you in the deep, dark, murky waters of the internet. One shark to unlock the content from different countries. One shark to keep your data secure. One shark to help you get the best prices online. One shark to rule them all. Thank you to Surfshark for sponsoring today's video. Talking of Lord of the Rings, did you know that you can watch Lord of the Rings on Netflix in Australia, but not the UK or US? Now, I like Lord of the Rings, but I am not flying for 24 hours just to watch it. Luckily, Surfshark isn't just great at catching those Australian waves, but can also change my virtual location from the UK to Australia so that I can watch films like Lord of the Rings from the comfort of my very own sofa. No flying necessary, which makes me very happy. I'm a nervous flyer. It's not just Netflix, it's not just Lord of the Rings, it's not just Australia. Oh no. Surfshark has over 3,200 servers in 100 countries. The world is your virtual oyster or shark. I literally use Surfshark every single day. Sharba and I have done so for years. It's just so handy to have that peace of mind whilst using the internet and to unlock streaming content that I otherwise wouldn't get to watch. And today, Surfshark have a very tasty deal. All the spuds who sign up to Surfshark using my link, surfshark.com/jammy, will get a whole extra 4 months of Surfshark for free. But you know, if you did want to travel to Oz or anywhere else for that matter, Surfshark can help you with that too. Because, and this genuinely blew my mind, I had no idea this was a thing, changing your virtual location can often unlock lower prices on things like flights, hotels, car rentals, and just everyday items, because many websites price differently depending on the country you're accessing them from. And with Surfshark, you can also be sure that your online perusing will be perfectly safe, whether that be from your home, your local coffee shop, the airport, or on the other side of the world. It encrypts your online data so you don't become an easy victim of identity theft, phishing attempts, or fraudulent purchases. And if that's not enough, Surfshark One, a megalodon, if you will, also gives you access to features like antivirus and alternative ID, where you can do things like creating proxy emails to avoid data leaks and spammy inboxes. Nobody likes a spammy inbox. So Blowhigh for your trans needs and Surfshark for your online needs. And by clicking the link in my description box, you get a whole 4 months extra for free. There's also a 30-day money-back guarantee, so there's really nothing to lose. Go on, go click that link, give it a try. And now, let's watch some trans TikToks. Conservative Christian father shares why he loves and supports his trans son.
Left-right thing, and it's really not. There are Republicans, there are Christians who have transgender children. I had a daughter before who I love dearly. I have a son now who I love even more if such a thing is possible. You know, when your child gives you the reason for why they're suicidal, which is, Dad, I think I'm meant to be a man, I'm transgender, the worst thing you could do is argue with them, debate it with them, tell them it's wrong. I mean, that was never on the list of options for me. I wanted to understand. When I signed up to be a dad, it was a lifelong commitment. It was unconditional love. With Ashton as my guide, we figured it out. And I'm just thrilled that he made it because he really was on the edge early on. I was scared to death that I would lose him, but to see him reach this point and see him thriving and become the person he's always meant to be. He's meant to be a man. My son has a masculine soul. I really believe that. All I'm doing really is just telling the story of being his dad.
All praise to this dad for being like A-star dad. I wish it was just normal. This is how every trans kid should be treated by their parents. This is what every trans person deserves in their life, is this kind of unconditional love and support and just lovely acceptingness. If it's not out there in the form of parents, it can be out there in the form of friends or online networks, partners, other people. There are so many people out there who love and support trans people, just like this dad supports his son. But it's very nice to see that kind of crossing of the divide in terms of especially religion, because so many people use religion as an excuse to not accept trans people and not accept a lot of other things as well. And it's not a genuine reason. It is just something for people to hide behind so that they can feel better about being bigots. But it's lovely to see that this guy is like, no, I love my kid. That's it. Why wouldn't you?
Right now, but trans people have always existed and they will forever exist, and they will never, no matter what happens, take trans joy away, and that has to be protected more than anything, because I would not be here without trans girls. So just know that pop music is thinking about you and cares about you, and I'm trying my best to like really stand up for you in
every way I can. It was cut off at the end. I think messages like this are really important. Whatever you think is going on in the background, I think that whilst there's so much, there's like a tidal wave of shit right now towards a lot of marginalized communities, and one of those is the trans community right now. There's just this big, massive wave of poop heading our way. It feels like it's starting to crash for a lot of people. But I genuinely think that having multiple people with these platforms stand up and say things, there's always more people can do. There's always more people that can speak out. But the one little silver lining, the streak of gold in the turd, the polished bit of it, is that with all this negative stuff happening, it is making these trans supportive people with platforms be more vocal and use those platforms. And that's really important. And it's more important now than ever. And the voices of allies are so needed at the minute. So as a trans person, speaking from myself, I can't speak for the whole trans community, but for myself as a trans person, I really appreciate these messages. And when I'm scrolling through my feed and I'm just seeing like negative thing after negative thing after negative thing, and then this comes up, and the speech that Lady Gaga did, and multiple other things. Bishop Boudet speaking out against Trump at the inaugural thing. I can't remember what it's called. That actually does mean something to trans people. Yeah. And it can offer like a little glimmer of hope amongst the difficult stuff that's happening at the moment.
Oh, they just want to transition so they can go in women's bathrooms. Okay, dipshit, let me get this straight. You think trans folks go through years of therapy, years of hormone replacement, and then maybe get a surgery when they're 18. And you think the point of that is all so they can use the right bathroom? Holy f***, you're stupid.
Oh my god, this is so accurate. Yes. Like, if you could sit down and rationalize with a transphobe where this bigotry is coming from and pick apart the lack of logic behind the bigotry, it just sounds really dumb. Like, don't take it for face value in what they're saying. Like, feel like there's a lot of transphobes out there really good at fear-mongering and being like,
we should be scared of trans people and this is why.
But then when you actually like go underneath the surface of that and you're like, yeah, but really, why? Why are you saying this? There is no other reason than bigotry. And that comes from a place of fear of the unknown and fear of things changing and fear of something you don't understand, but absolutely no willingness to try and understand something and try and accept something and try and realize that the world moves and society moves, and those who are transphobic now in a really intense way. It's just like we keep saying, J.K. Rowling is the Anita Bryant of her generation, but is transphobic in the way that Anita Bryant was homophobic. And look at the way Anita Bryant is viewed generally. Like, of course there will be some people who are like, yeah, because they're raging homophobes, but generally as a whole, she's very much seen on the wrong side of history and very much had viewpoints and expressed viewpoints in ways that would be totally unacceptable within mainstream nowadays. You wouldn't see somebody like Anita Bryant going on a TV show and sharing the opinions that she shared about gay people back when she shared them, or you at least wouldn't see that happening in a lot of places around the world. But what we're seeing, I'm using the UK as an example because that's where I live, we are seeing transphobes saying similarly abhorrent things against trans people as Anita Bryant was saying against gay people, getting spots on TV shows and getting that airtime. And it's like, are you kidding me? That history is not even over. Homophobia is still around. It's just a bit less acceptable than it used to be, but it's still there. We've not even closed the chapter on the previous bigotry and we're already on to the next one, not having learned our lesson. Wow.
A couple weeks ago, my girlfriend, my buddies, and I went out to the bars. I was a little liquored up, accidentally walked into a women's bathroom because the sign was covered up. There was nobody else in there. I noticed there were no urinals. I said, oh, this is the wrong bathroom, and I walked the f*** out. And guess what happened? Absolutely nothing. So unless you're going to hire somebody that stands at the door 24/7 and makes people pull their pants down to check their anatomy, you better shut the f*** up because you look like an idiot. Newsflash, if somebody wants to walk into a bathroom and do something gross, they're going to do it regardless of whether or not you have a law that says you have to use the bathroom we determined for you.
Also, any law that says you have to use the bathroom of your assigned birth sex literally makes it easier for predatory cis men to do the exact thing that transphobes are saying they're doing, but they're using trans women as a scapegoat for that. So currently, transphobes are like, oh, we can't let trans women in women's spaces and bathrooms because that will make it easier for predatory cis men to gain the access to those spaces. First and foremost, trans women are not predatory cis men, so why are you penalizing trans women for the actions of cis men? Secondly, if a cis man wants to go into a woman's space, like a public restroom, there is oftentimes very, very little to nothing stopping them from doing that. I'm sure plenty of people, like this guy has done accidentally, plenty of people have done the same thing accidentally in the past. It doesn't make sense. What would actually happen if trans women were to be pushed out of women's spaces, and we make that rule of you have to use the bathroom of your assigned sex, trans men would be forced into women's spaces. Now, that makes it significantly easier for predatory cis men to go into a woman's bathroom, not having to do anything, and if anyone questions them, just saying they're a trans man. Because trans men like me would be forced into the women's bathroom. It makes no sense. The argument makes zero sense because trans women are not a danger to cis women, and that has been shown. And it has also been shown that cis men are not dressing up as women and pretending to be trans women to access women's spaces. And by pushing trans women out of women's spaces and into men's spaces, and therefore pushing trans men out of men's spaces into women's spaces, you're actually making it easier for any cis man to potentially very easily walk into a woman's bathroom and not even be questioned if somebody were to question him, because he'd just say he's a trans man. It is the most abhorrently stupid thing I've ever heard, and I don't understand why so many people are just being like,
Oh my god, yeah, kick them out.
If you gave a shit about women, you wouldn't have voted a sexual abuser into the highest office in the US. And if you really gave a shit about women, you'd be looking at who the single biggest demographic of people who assault women are. White, straight men. But no, you won't do that. You'd rather look at this bullshit culture war and demonize the most marginalized groups because you're a coward.
I appreciate his passion. He said that very well. It's so true, and it's a pattern that, again, we see a pattern of this time and time again, where people who are transphobic and try to hide behind feminism and say,
I'm doing this for women's rights.
they only ever speak out when they have an opportunity to be transphobic. If there's ever a chance for them to actually stick up for women, silent. Nothing happens. You can hear the crickets. What a horrible comment to leave. But I'd just be like, bye. Are they crocheting something trans? Oh my god, please be cute. Oh my god. Oh, I love it. Is it a trans bee? Oh, it's a trans bee. I love that so much. I might have had to have muted that, so if it looked like I was saying things, I was just reading the comment and saying that was horrible. I am so obsessed with these little crochet things. I think they're so cute. I got given a bunch on the book tour, and they're all adorable, and we've kept them all upstairs, and they're in like a little line. And then one of Shaba's sisters crochets, and she gave us a little frog each for Christmas, and it's just the cutest thing. I love them. I actually have a tiny little crochet trans squid. Hold on, let me get it for you.
A few moments later.
Look how cute. I'm so sorry, I can't actually remember when we got this, but it has a label on it that says Little Bat Blue. So if they still sell them, very cute. Highly recommend having yourself a little crocheted trans something. I've actually ended up with a lot of crocheted dinosaurs in particular, which I very much appreciate. Thank you.
At the end of the day, trans people are less than 1% of the population, and trans people are not the reason you can't afford eggs. We're not the reason that you can't afford health care. We're not the reason that you can't buy a house or your rent's too high. Yeah. I think they're focused on the wrong 1%. Ooh. I think the other 1% is the reason for all those things.
And they are deflecting onto trans people to stop themselves getting the blame. Could not have said it better. I've seen this quote going around so much since Laverne Cox said this, and I just think she's said quite a magical thing with that. It's a very important thing, and I really hope that people, at least some people, listen to it. Oh my god, because it's so true. So true. Why are people so scared of a really marginalized community who's under 1% and does not have all this power, rather than being worried about the 1% that actually has a lot of power and is not doing great things right now. Yeah.
Dr. Natasha Kennedy has published a research study in preprint containing testimonies from parents of trans young people affected by the blocker ban, something that the likes of Atkins and Streeting should have done a long time ago. This study shows that taking away access to gender-affirming care causes immeasurable harm to the mental health of the young people affected and their families.
Funny that taking away the care that is literally the approved model of care for a group of people causes them harm. Wow, who would have guessed it? Well, clearly not West Streeting. Jesus Christ. Like, read some research papers.
And that the blocker ban was for anything other than protecting children, like is being claimed, with parents reporting that their child feels as though their life isn't worth living anymore, that they are unable to leave the house, they aren't spending time with friends anymore.
This is just miserable, absolutely miserable. And one of the biggest jokes in all of this is there is no issue with puberty blockers being prescribed to kids because that's still happening to cis kids with precocious puberty. It's not like they've come out and said, no, puberty blockers are a dangerous medication for children and we cannot give it to children, because it is still being prescribed to kids right now, but just not trans kids. The issue is not with the medication. The issue is transphobia. The issue is with trans kids. They're just transphobic. They just do not want to accept that this is the way to treat trans kids and help them. There's so much evidence supporting the fact that the gender affirming care approach is the approach that should be taken with trans people regardless of age, and there is age appropriate steps within that model of care at each stage of development. It's just bananas to me, but I appreciate this person breaking down this paper in a video. Yes, thank you.
When they are crying all the time, they are fearful of the future out of their control, and the parents are worried that their child will not see that future at all. A few parents of trans young people who did have access to puberty blockers submitted testimonies that are to no surprise are polar opposites as those without, with one parent saying their child was at active risk of taking their own life and couldn't bear to live with being forced through a male puberty, but as soon as she started her treatment, all of her ideation disappeared.
This is such an important point because there is around a 1% regret rate among trans people, and studies have consistently shown that like 97% plus of trans youth who start puberty blockers go on to take hormone replacement therapy, so like testosterone, estrogen, things like that. So you're basically saying that 97 to 99% where transitioning is absolutely the right thing for them to do and there are no regrets, they don't matter, basically. You don't care about that. You want to force that 97 to 99% through the wrong puberty, purposefully, knowingly doing that, rather than risk that the 1% that regret and then the 2.5% where nothing had permanently been changed. They just didn't continue treatment. I don't know whether that's because they weren't trans or not, or whether they just for themselves did not want to continue treatment at that moment. But why is it okay to literally force trans kids to go through the wrong puberty and go through permanent, irreversible changes and forcing them to need to have more surgeries later in life? Why is that okay, but it's not okay to put them on irreversible puberty blockers to stop them? Every single trans person I've spoken to, and I know a lot of trans people, would have absolutely wished they could have gone on puberty blockers. Absolutely. Like, I wouldn't have had to have top surgery if I'd been on puberty blockers. It would have literally saved me having to have a surgery, and having to have surgery is a very serious thing to do. But no, we don't care. We don't care about those people. We don't care about trans people. That's what it boils down to. People just don't care about trans people enough. There is too much bigotry out there and not enough compassion.
Others reported a new sense of hope, that their mental health grew with their confidence, and one said that her son is no longer making attempts on his life and is attending school again. These young people are unfortunately not the only ones affected, with the parents themselves reporting that they are living in a constant state of fear and anxiety, terrified about the upcoming puberty that will further harm their already suffering child, with one parent saying, "Watching my child suffer and struggle needlessly because of the decisions made by people this has zero impact on has single-handedly been the hardest thing I've ever had to do as a mother."
And people who are not experts, where all the experts are going like, no, this is not the right thing to be doing, please don't do this.
There was a parent who described the harmful consequences of hiring gender-critical clinicians. We found ourselves being guided by who we now suspect was a covert TERF, who recommended watchful waiting, which unfortunately at the time we did try, because we thought we were working with an expert. This approach was incredibly damaging to our child, and we are still recovering from this as a family. The puberty blocker ban is built from a foundation of preventing the possibility of negative side effects, of avoiding hypothetical harm experienced from a medication that has been used for as long as breast treating has been alive, for trans people at least 20 years. These side effects would be observable, but they aren't being observed because they don't exist. Children's medication with known side effects is still being prescribed to children because of an adequate balance of risks, a balance that Cass actively ignored, which led to an unprecedented, unjustified ban on a life-saving medication to supposedly protect the children. But this ban is doing the polar opposite. It is actively harming young people.
It's because it's not coming out of a place of care for trans people. It's coming from a place of fear, and it's coming from a place of bigotry, whether these people understand it or not. They are not paying attention to the information they should be paying attention to, and they're just going based on like gut feelings and fear. And before anybody brings up the Cass report, go read the papers that have thoroughly debunked it as being bull. I will make a video on it at some point, but it's just a lot. Confronting my son's school for misgendering him. This is not the first time I've seen a video of a parent having to confront their kid's school for transphobia. I must suck so much. I hate for that kid that the school is being horrible, but I love for them that they have such a fiercely supportive parent.
They'd like to be called Freddie. Apparently, this is something that you're not really cooperating with at school.
I think we all want to support, obviously.
Freddie.
Literally on the call to be like, you're disrespecting my child's name, please call them by this name. And immediately the person on the other side of the phone has dead named this child. Like 5 seconds after their mother has gone, call my child this name. That's not a habit problem, because you've just been told. That is an active choice to not listen to this information you're being told because you are so blinkered in your worldview.
The school records, and it is the school policy that whatever gender they are listed as, that we refer to them in that respect. So if it's then I will be referring to her as she.
It's the emphasis on it though. It's like, this is nothing to do with like shut up about school policy. It's the way this guy is just really like emphasizing the misgendering.
She will not be able to take part in things like rugby practice. Young are just physically stronger at that age, and we would to get injured. So it would be useful.
Okay, I honestly call bullshit on this so hard. I played football when I was a kid. When I was 7 years old, or 7 or 8 years old, I was asked to stop playing for my local team because where I lived, they didn't have a girls' team, right? And I had to play technically on the boys' team, but it was mixed when people were really young. And I stayed on playing because I really enjoyed it and I wanted to play. And I'm sure my parents had something to do with that I wasn't aware of when I was a kid. But then they sat me down and they're like, you're not allowed to play football anymore at this club. We're gonna have to find you somewhere else because they've said you can't play with the boys anymore because you're gonna get hurt. I know this isn't the case for every child, but it was utter rubbish because I was literally a head taller than every single boy on that team. There was a boy who was genuinely about half my size, both in height and stature, yet it was fine for him to play, but I wasn't allowed to play. So I'm just like, it is bull. When people are like 8 years old, 7 years old, no, I think it's rubbish. I think it's absolute rubbish. And plus, like, why do girls only play netball?
If you were to support the way that we're looking at things, which to reaffirm who really is, and that's a girl.
That's not just school policy or being worried for a child. That's just plain transphobia.
It's 2024. This is really difficult. As a parent, I need to support what they want to do. It's upsetting as a parent. I want what's best for my child. They're refusing to go to school if they can't be called a boy. I think all they're asking for is just that you refer to them as Freddie.
I would suggest that your child is going through some emotional difficulties.
This guy's not a specialist. Shut up.
The school has fantastic counselling services. Maybe that's you should be talking to, rather than this being a problem for the school. And with great
Please don't say that my child's a problem for the school. Are you trying to say that my child's mentally ill?
I don't know how the rest of that phone call went, but oh my god, what a disgusting little man. Seriously.
Your child is a problem for the school. Take them to counselling so they can stop doing this as soon as possible.
It's so infuriating.
I don't identify as a cis man. I identify as a man. So by calling me a cis man, you're misgendering me. According to all of you, we are allowed to determine our own pronouns.
That's an adjective. Cis is an adjective. Like angry man, confused man, fragile man. Right? Those are adjectives. And man's a noun. That's not even a pronoun. Are conservatives just mad about all grammar now?
I think they're just mad about things they don't understand, which now includes grammar. I don't identify as a cis man, I identify as a man. Don't identify as a cis man, but you identify as a man, that would make you a trans man. Because if you're not cis, you're trans, and if you're not trans, you're cis. They are just adjectives. Sorry, I'm having to mute this one. I just want to make clear that I will always love, honor, respect, and defend all my trans siblings out there. Oh, what are they making? That was a really cute rolling pin. Is that trans flag pasta? Is trans flag pasta? I love pasta, and I love trans people because I'm trans. Oh, they're so cute. They look like little sweets. What's inside? I want to eat it. Oh, I want the trans pasta. That looks delicious. Was it pasta? Danny loves pasta. Must be pasta. What was in it? It looked great. My only complaint is that didn't look like a very big portion of pasta. That needed to be at least triple. This is again another one of those things of like, lovely to see. You're just scrolling. There's someone who just likes making pasta and they're like, yeah, I support trans people. Woo, let's put it out there. Thank you. Love it. POV, the worst trans guy you'll ever meet. Part 2. Oh no. Oh no.
Oh, pink. I can't wear pink. Guys don't wear pink, so I'm just not into that.
Is this going to be an example of like the type of trans guys who start off very like the embodiment of toxic masculinity and some of them just never grow out of it?
Yeah, bro, testosterone is goated. Made my voice so deep. So glad it's not like, you know, The Voice.
I hate that that's even a thing.
I hate when trans people say transitioning is hard. It's really easy for me. I don't know why everyone's complaining. Nah, I don't hang with other trans people. Like, they're just drama. Like, I'm trying to keep it simple, hang out with my bros. Like, I'm not all about that. Some of these trans guys just be dressing up way too much. Like, where are my guys that are just wearing oversized cargo shorts, too big of shoes, and dirty t-shirts that should have been thrown out ages ago? Where's my representation?
I'm not going to give a shout out to particular people, but there was a little like spate of trans people, one in particular several years back, who just really pushed this idea of like trans men being very like toxic masculinity and shunning anything that wasn't super masculine and deciding to label certain people's voices. It's like, there's not a thing. You've just made that up in your own head, and now you have made so many trans people feel insecure about their expression, their voices, whether they're trans enough. Like, it's just stupid. There's no right or wrong way to be trans. If you're trans, you're trans. If you're a trans man, you can be feminine, you can be masculine, you can be everything in between, and outside of that, it doesn't matter. You can have whatever voice you have and you are happy with. Like, oh yes, the worst trans guy you'll ever meet. And on that note, that's the end of the video. That's all the trans TikToks. I hope you like this video. Don't forget to go to surfshark.com/jammy to download Surfshark for yourself and get a whole 4 months extra for free. Oh yes, or go click the link in the description box. Thanks again for listening. Think about giving a thumbs up and subscribing if you want to, and I'll see you next time. Much love. Bye.